Hi, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Tips with Miss Guy. I'm really grateful for us to be here yet another week, sharing these tips. I believe we are on episode number 9. Yes, 9 already. And I'm really happy that you all come continuously, just to hear what we are saying here, at Tips with Miss Guy. I'm really blessed today. We have a special guest, and I know today is Tuesday, so I know it is Tuesday, the 14th, so it is Valentine's Day. So I really, really want to say happy Valentine's to those that celebrate it. To those that don't, well, it's a regular Tuesday. All right. So welcome to another episode. Last episode we had an awesome guest, and I know you all really appreciated, the conversation that we had on last podcast. And today is no different. We have a very special guest. This person I have watched for the last couple years that I knew her, bloom into a beautiful butterfly, and she's still blooming and she's still going and evolving, and I know that, in this time that young persons are doing excellent things. And this episode is actually called Education Going All the Way. And I was thinking, who is the best person to really ask to do this episode? And I know today's guest fits, this mold perfectly. So at this time, I'm gonna bring onto the screen our guest for today, Miss Sharyse Gift, all the way from Tobago, but she's currently not in Tobago. So she's gonna tell you more about herself today. So I'm gonna bring her to the screen. I want you all to make her welcome in the comments, yeah? Say welcome, big up yourself, all these nice things in the comments. I'm going to bring her to the screen and she's going to introduce herself.
Hi everyone. So as Miss Skywood stated, my name is Sharyse Gift. I am currently a second year psychology student at the University of the West Indies in Barbados. I graduated from the lovely Bishop's High School Tobago, Crady Cruci, and I just recently concluded a study abroad exchange program in Toronto, Canada at one of the world's top public research universities.
Wow, I'm really grateful for your yes to be here today. So again, thank you for saying yes to being on the podcast for today. I'm really excited for this great conversation. All right, so you would have said to us that you went to the Bishop High School and you're currently a student at Kfield. How was that transition between, high school to university? I know that there is a transition. How was that for you?
I honestly feel like my transition was made a bit better with the pandemic, which is funny to say because the pandemic has affected so many of us in different ways, especially when it comes to education. But I had the blessed privilege of concluding my sixth form tenure at the Bishop's High School. And then instead of going immediately to Barbados to continue my studies, I was able to stay in Tobago for a bit longer to do my classes online and fully immerse myself in that experience. And I was really grateful for that because I had the support of my family, I had the comfort of home, and it was a really smooth transition period, I would say.
Okay, awesome. So the pandemic had some positives. I'm glad to really hear
Definitely.
about the positives of the pandemic. So how would you say that you have even transition based on leaving one country and having the comfort of your family and then having to live on your own and then balance your academics? Because I know that's somewhat a transition. So how was that for you?
Well, my first period of difficulty would have been in my experience studying abroad in Canada. Um, Growing up in Tobago, I have always been very sheltered and supported by those around me. I'm the last one of my family. I have a very supportive church family as well. So I am used to being the baby and used to always, having to look up to people, to get certain things done. And going to Canada was both rewarding, humbling. It helped me grow up a lot more, I would say. And it was difficult, but I also understand the purpose of the difficulties and the lessons that I learned because sometimes when we are drawn into new seasons of our lives, we are not always cognizant or aware of how to deal with everything all at once. But
Right.
sometimes, because everything is a learning experience. So I had the challenges of learning about renting and buying food and cooking and dealing with going to classes, well, commuting to classes, because since I was in Canada and not the Caribbean, it would be like trains and all these new things that I had never really experienced before. Trying to
Wow.
my faith as a big part of my life as well. So finding time to study, yet go to church, and sometimes it would be snowing, and I would be walking to church in the snow and
Wow.
different things. But the entire experience overall of that maturing process, I appreciated every second of it, and I did see some negative effects as well as positive ones, because sometimes you would have burnout from studying and then trying to be an adult at the same time, because the difference between university and high school, or say primary school, is that while in primary school or high school you still have mommy and daddy to depend on, but when you're in college you're the adult and all the responsibilities are on you. So when you have bills and problems to see about, it's really you and God against the world. So all of that really really helped me in my faith as well, to grow as a believer. I can't go anywhere without talking about my faith. So
Come on.
so that yeah, that helped me in many many aspects, and I could go on about this all day, but we could continue.
Okay, so I really want you to go all the way with that. So I'm gonna ask you, what was your motivation in all of it that kept you going, and what is still your motivation in all of this?
I have several motivating factors, mostly to bring glory to God, honestly, and
Hallelujah.
because I try my best that whatever I'm doing, no matter how big or not big, it seems that I do it to the best of my ability, because I want when persons look at it, they can say, well, that is something good, and that glory goes to God. So I try my best to be excellent in all areas of my life. My mother is a big motivator as well, because I always want her to be proud of me. I always want to make sure that I do something and then I can say, "Mommy, look what I did," and it's just like a really really nice feeling. um my motivations as well, my church family back home. If anybody from Full Gospel Tabernacle Tobago is watching this, I love you very much.
Big up
um,
to gospel.
there are a lot of people that I want to make proud, who have invested so much into my life, and myself as well. I want to be able to look back on my life when I get to a certain age and I can say, wow, I really gave it my best. I really brought glory and honor to the name of the Lord, and I was able to make proud everybody in my life who means so much to me and has invested so much into me from the very start.
Wow, that's really amazing. I love how you put God in there. Many times persons tend to lean on their own strengths and their own abilities, but without God, we know that we can't do anything. So I want to encourage you to keep burning, keep that fire burning in terms of your faith. Keep that fire burning. There's something I saw that you are doing right now, but we're gonna speak about that a little later. All right. So I want to ask you, if you would have discussed about your studying and in Canada, how you had to balance the both. So I want you to speak a little bit about your study strategies for the students that are listening. Some parents might be able to take some notes, some teachers might be able to give some recommendations. So I want to hear all about your study strategy, if any, and how you're really able to balance all that you do.
Right. So, in terms of study strategies, in my experience with education, I have learned that every student is different. So, although I can give advice, each student does have to know what works best for them. But my biggest piece of advice, honestly, is to turn off your phone. Turn off your phone and practice something known as delayed gratification. So that is something that I do with myself. For example, if I know that I have a pending task, whether it's an assignment, an essay, or some reading to do, I would sort of put myself off of something else that I would want to do. Like, say, cook a nice meal. Like, I love to cook. It's part of my business back home, and I always love to cook and eat good things. So whether it's cooking a good meal or catching up on the latest Netflix show or making coffee, another fun thing that I enjoy, I would put it off and I would say, okay, so you finish this task first, you do this assignment, you finish this essay, and then afterwards you can get back to that. Delayed gratification, because then there's sort of a motivating factor. And then you can reward yourself for having, gotten some work done. Sometimes we reward ourselves and we haven't done anything for the day. You get up and you haven't done anything all day, but you're watching Netflix.
Come on.
That's a very bad strategy. So, firstly, prioritize taking off your phone when necessary, because sometimes even the do not disturb we like to do does not work, because you feel the vibration and you want to see if Stacy texts you or if John liked your picture on Instagram or something. No, turn it off. At times, even if you need to notify people, hey, I'm going to be turning off my phone for a few hours, so I'll get back to you afterwards, because at the end of the day, Instagram will always be there. But when it comes to your education, there are deadlines and there are certain things that you have to pay attention to. And you don't want to get to a stage in your life where you're looking back and you're like, oh, geez, well, if I had prioritized this a bit more, then I wouldn't be in this position where I am now. Or if I had paid more attention to this, then I could have gotten it done already. But now I'm here, I'm repeating this, or I'm still stuck in this spot, etc., etc. So yes, that would be my advice in terms of study strategies. Prioritize and delayed gratification, and keep the phone off, please.
Awesome, awesome strategies. I want you all to hear that. So to my students that are listening, just take, Miss Gift advice today. Okay, ensure that you practice these. And I believe these strategies can apply to many students. I believe that the phone, the social media has been a thing that has been really distracting students. And I also practice that same delayed gratification. So I used to have a series that I'm watching, especially when I was studying for hours, and I will like study for an hour 45 minutes, watch a series or episode, then I will study again, and when I look I got through a lot, and I would have watched an entire series. Right, so I really really endorse that method as well. All right, so even as we continue, I saw you doing a new I believe Bible study in session on campus, and I got so excited. It brought me back to my Mona days, and I'm saying I wish I was in Cape Hill. I would have gone to this session,
Oh, wow.
tonight. So I want you to tell us all about what you're doing. Really great work, and I want students to know that even while you're studying, that your faith is still essential, and not just your faith for you, but also sharing the gospel in little ways, forms that you can do. All right, so let's hear about that thing.
Right. So everywhere I go in terms of my education, I always get involved in ministry in some sort of way. Sometimes it's not even intentional, but then I find myself and I'm like, what am I doing here? I came to do my work. This started when I was in Canada. I got involved with a ministry group on campus known as Power to Change, an evangelical group. If anyone from Power to Change is watching this, I love you very much as well. Um, and there I had a lot of experience in outreach events, small group sessions, Bible studies, discipleship training. Like, what does it mean to be a Christian in this world? What does it mean to navigate life as a university student and still share Jesus? Like, how does that work? How does that look like, especially in a world where there are so many changing things and where certain things are not accepted as it was, or where you may look a bit odd if you are diverging on a different path rather than the status quo, rather than the main road. And in coming to Cave Hill from Canada, I wanted to continue that in some way. And I felt that the Lord placed upon my heart to have small group discussions just with the people living near me on campus, and not just discussions, but in how that relates to the Bible for believers, the Bible for Generation Z, the Bible for people who may not know what the Bible is about in terms of their problems. Because I feel like sometimes we as young people, we think that we are alone in the world and in our experiences. And we like to shoulder everything by ourselves, or we sometimes like to feel like we are the lone wolves going through this, that, and the other. And the beautiful thing about these sessions that I am doing is that it shows that there is really no topic that the Bible does not cover.
Right.
There are so many things that young people are facing with in the midst of trying to achieve educational greatness. Because, yes, having a degree is important. Yes, I am all for academic excellence. But there are lots of people hurting. There are lots of people who are pursuing academic excellence, but they don't even feel excellent about themselves as a person, as an individual. You know, they're struggling with low self esteem, or they may be going through that mid 20s crisis, because your 20s, your late teen years are very, very confusing years of your life. So my entire motivation and goal for these sessions are really to just give people a space and an opportunity to talk, to, you know, get things off their chest, and at the same time go back to what the Bible says about this, and how can the Bible help and improve what I am going through, and improve the experiences of others also as I interact with others on campus. How can I be a better person? How can I be a better student? How can I be, you know, better to my teachers? How can I apply the word in every area of my life, especially for my studies?
Awesome. That sounds amazing. And I pray that persons will come out to these sessions and really benefit from them. And I feel as though it is a growing mission. I see a mission in everything. You
Mhm.
know, I said this week to some believers that we are always on the mission for souls. It doesn't matter this place of influence that God put us at, you know, we are always on the mission, you know, and I really see this thing going in on a larger scale, and I pray that persons will hear about it and even sow into the mission, you know. So I personally want to know how I can sow into this mission. I believe that it's gonna grow beyond leaps and bounds, and there might be some needs that this mission will have. So you will let us know how we can sow into this mission, because I feel as though eventually, you know, God will blow it up, right? So let me know, right? How can we sow into this mission?
Well, as you said, you strongly believe that God is going to take it places. So little steps at a time, and when it gets there, you'll will definitely know, especially at the encouragers nest. Because I do appreciate the counsel that I get from there, the spiritual counsel, especially from you, Miss Guy. So when the time comes, by God's grace, definitely. Thank
Okay,
you.
awesome, awesome. Right. So I want you to really tell us, the podcast is called Education Going All the Way. All right. I want you to tell us, you know, where do you see your education going? What career path do you think that you want to walk into? And encourage persons to take their education all the way.
Right. So this is funny because this is a question that I got a lot recently, you know, where do I see myself, or where do I see my education going? So, as I said at the beginning, I am a second year psychology student. I am pursuing a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. And upon the conclusion of that, which is very soon, I would like to pursue my master's in counseling psychology and psychotherapy. Reason being is that I am very passionate about helping others, and I am very passionate about the things that we do not readily see with the naked eye. I'm going to explain that a bit. So in this world, there are a lot of natural studies, natural academia that we can appreciate. Mathematics, science, chemistry, mechanics, a lot of physical, hard evidence based research. and all of that is beautiful and well and lovely. But I honestly think that the most beautiful parts of this world that we live in are the things that are under the surface. So the things that are a bit more hard to talk about, such as mental illness, especially in the Caribbean, still a taboo topic in 2023. I'm not sure why, but I and many others in this field are working on changing that. um, Hard to talk about things such as emotions or feelings, or even people who are dissatisfied with their current career choices or their current academic pursuits. Especially as we're on the topic of education, I feel like a lot of young people are sometimes shy, or they are inclined to follow a path that is sometimes put upon them by the expectations of others, and there is really things that they would rather much be doing in the educational field, but because of parental expectations, or maybe the fear of like not making enough money, etc., they go to a path, and then they find themselves later down the road, before their retirement age, they are just chasing a paycheck, and they never really got to enjoy what they were doing. They never really got to appreciate the fullness of their field because it wasn't something that they wanted to do. And I am pursuing this career path because I'm passionate about it, and I honestly feel like it would be that thing where I can look back and I can be like, I didn't regret doing this. I am enjoying this. I am helping people every day, and when I go to bed at night, I can say I did my best today. I brought glory to God, and I was able to help someone stay better. I was able to help someone in a way, that I can say that I did my best. So yes, that is the current area I'm pursuing. I want to go into counseling and psychotherapy and all that lovely stuff to do with the mind and the heart.
Okay, awesome. Feel I'm excited to see where this really takes you. And you're really correct. The mind and mental health is really a issue that is facing persons, especially after the pandemic. You are seeing, what was hidden with some persons is fully revealed. And yeah, I have been asking on social media, even like for counselors and even Christian counselors who are available, to share with persons, to speak with persons. And I really want to see this field really expand and become one that persons appreciate, and really the church as well, can we say that? Because
Yeah.
the church always saying, oh, somebody going through something, well, it's straight out deliverance that they
Yeah.
need,
Um,
right?
I am all. Let's talk about it. I am all for prayers. Prayers does work, but sometimes when someone is reaching out to you, sometimes they just want to sit down and talk, and I feel like that has contributed to a lot of stories that I've heard from people about church hurt as well, where they would have sought something from church or leaders or ministers, and it went one direction, but the person was really like crying out for something else. Like the person just, wanted to sit and talk. And, it's not necessarily that the person is possessed or, needs deliverance or something, but sometimes they are at a point where they have no one to talk to, and everything else that they have exhausted and tried doesn't work out. So then they go to church because they know that God and Jesus is some sort of hope, some sort of the shining light at the end of whatever dark tunnel they may be going through. And then they come to that source, whether it's a church, whether it's something on campus, to try and get that, and then they don't get that, and then sometimes it sort of leads to like them bottling up their emotions a bit more, or
Yes.
maybe sometimes not even wanting to go back to church because they didn't really get the help that they needed in that way.
That's really good, and there's a proverb. I'm trying to remember the exact root of it, but it says, "Among wise counsel, there is strength. So the Bible really did speak about counsel. I don't think it's the way that we always look at it. Sometimes people just want to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Sometimes persons would have been through things that they never unpacked, throughout their entire life, and they just need to have someone to help them unpack, so that then prayer could even be more effective, because you now know more about the mind and how they are operating. So I really think that this field needs to be really married into the church some more, and I know that God is really raising up kingdom persons like yourself to really run in this area. So I'm really grateful for your field of study. All right. I want you to speak to some young persons that might be listening to this podcast right now. I want you to motivate them to really take their education all the way. I work among students daily, and one of the main things that we realize is that it's not as though they don't have the educational potential, but they are not motivated. The pandemic did a really big thing, I could say, to a lot of students. I wanted to share a word of motivation with them today.
Wow, there are so many things that I could say. And I know for young people, sometimes we get tired of hearing that the sky is your limit and you can do anything you put your mind to. But as a testament and as a person that is currently walking in that, it is 100% true. And sometimes when you are in a discouraged or demotivated state, it might not really seem that way, and it might just seem like Miss Guy or your other teachers or your parents, they just repeating cliches in your ear. Or you can do anything, this, that, and the other. But the truth is, you can't. There is literally nothing in this world that is off limits to you. The sky is not your limit. I did a bit of geography at Bishop's. Thank you, Miss Thomas. And our atmosphere is divided into so much layers. So don't even focus on the sky, really and truly. But there is something inside of each and every one of us that we are called to do. And I believe that calling is not merely a spiritual thing. So when I'm talking about calling, I'm not talking about any church thing, but your calling is basically what you are meant to do overall in life. And that ties into your education, that ties into the career path that you may be pursuing. And when you really truly find whatever that calling may be, put your best foot forward, keep God firstly and foremostly in your life, and just keep at it. There are so many opportunities out there. And I know this is Tobago based, but the world is a lot bigger than Tobago. And there are so many things that you can experience and take from out there to bring back home and to bless your community. Um, Educational achievement is a rewarding experience. Sometimes when you are going through the gruel and the dirt, it really does not seem that way. And it really seems like a cliche. It really seems that you are getting up every day and it's like you're a wind up robot. So you get up, you go to school, you come home, you do your homework, you go to sleep. But don't think of it that way. Think of it as tiny building blocks that will complete the perfect picture of your purpose, of your life. Take things in stride, one step at a time, and you will get exactly where you are meant to be. The sky is not your limit. The universe is in the palm of your hands. Keep at it and just keep stepping forward.
Thank you so much for sharing that motivation. I too am really motivated by what you just said. I learned a lot from what you just said. So I'm really grateful for that bit of motivation. All right. So we're bringing this thing right down for this episode, but I would have asked the other guests for the year so far to state one word that you're taking through this entire year. If you had a thought about a word, a single word or a phrase that you think that you will take through this entire year, tell me what you think that would be.
Not a word, but a verse has been taking me through this year. I believe it is Psalm 80, verse 12. If it's not, Miss Guy will recheck and put the correct verse in the caption to this video. But it says, "Teach us to number our days so that we may gain a heart of wisdom." And that verse has really motivated me each day since the year started because it reminds me to not take any of my days for granted, because yes, we hear the cliche all the time that life is short, but it is. And each of your days can be so much more meaningful if you look at it with the right perspective and the right attitude. So again, I'm going to repeat, don't just see your life as a routine. Number your days. Like every day you wake up, think, okay, how can I make this day more meaningful? What can I do today that maybe I didn't do yesterday? Or let me start this task or this project that I've been putting off because I've been scared, etc. Let me do something today in terms of having fun. I never enjoy myself. Let me try and enjoy myself today. So yes, that is the verse. Psalms 80 verse 12. Teach us to number our days so that we may gain a heart of wisdom. If you treasure your days, you will have a much more meaningful life overall. So don't take any of your days for granted.
Wow, awesome bit of information and scripture, So we go with that today. I will definitely drop the scripture in the comments as well so you can have it to go. I'm really, really thankful today, Sharyse, for your time, your efforts, and you coming here to share from your experience and your oil, also your busy schedule to really be here today. I'm really grateful, and I pray nothing but God's blessing upon you. I pray that God will just take you from glory to glory, strength to strength by His grace. I really want to see all that God is going to do in you and through you. Yeah. So God bless you. Thank you again for being with us today. All right. So yeah, at the end of another episode of Tips with Miss Guy. I'm truly grateful for you all staying all the way through. And I want to reward somebody that stayed all the way through. Right. So the first person to drop the word giveaway in the comments, you're gonna be winning one of our study packages offered to students. And if you're not a student but you just want a study package, if you're the first person to drop that word giveaway, then the package is absolutely yours. All right. So thanks again, everyone, for sticking all the way through. I pray that you're going to take the motivation, the tips that were brought to us today by our lovely guests. And maybe if you have something to share, you are expert in a field in education and you want to be a part of this educational podcast journey with me, you are free to send me a message here at Scholars Immaculate Academy. You can also send me an email at scholarsacademy868 at gmail.com. I'm really grateful for your time. Yes, you could have been doing something on this Valentine's night, but you are here with us. So I'm truly grateful. So God bless you. Have a great and productive rest of your day. And tune in again. We're going to have another podcast on the 4th Tuesday of the month. And we're going to literally be starting our exam countdown. You know that we do SCA prep here at Scholars Immaculate Academy as well as CXE and K preparation. So we are starting our countdown or study tips countdown. So be with us even as we share all things studying, all things motivation, all things preparation. All right. So thanks again so much for tuning in to Tips with Miss Guy. God bless you all.